Welcome to the amazing world of developmental psychology by Deferia and Saculingan. Human Development Chapter 5. Entering the Social World. Socio-emotional development in infancy and early childhood. First, let us define what is socio-emotional. Coming from the root word society and emotional, socio-emotional is relating an individual's relationship with the society and their emotions. Chapter 5, Section 1. Beginnings, Trust and Attachment. Erikson's first three stages of psychosocial development and strength. Erikson proposed that a child's personality development are predetermined from infancy to early childhood, which is the first three stages of psychosocial development, and said that a person's psychosocial crisis experiences could have a positive or negative outcome for the child's personality development if not resolved. Strength. A child can acquire strength when crisis is successfully resolved. If not, the child's psychosocial development is inhibited, limiting his or her ability to resolve future crises. Question and answer. What are the first three stages of psychosocial development and the strength acquired? What are those? Comment your answers down below. Erikson's first three stages of psychosocial development and strength. Stage 1, trust versus mistrust. Strength acquired, hope. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Strength acquired, will. Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. Strength acquired, purpose. Hope is an openness to new experience tempered by wariness and that discomfort or danger may arise. Will is the knowledge that within limits, youngsters can act on their own world intentionally. Purpose is achieved with a balance between individual initiative and a willingness to cooperate with others. Growth of attachment. Growth of attachment are the essential ingredients of early social relationships. Most modern accounts take an evolutionary perspective, which is according to evolutionary psychology, our behaviors right now represents our successful adaptation to our own environment. Attachment. Attachment is a socio-emotional bond between infants and their caregivers. Q&A. What are the four phases in the growth of attachment? What are those? Comment your answers down below. Steps toward attachment. The four phases of growth attachment. Pre-attachment, birth to 6 to 8 weeks. Attachment in the making, 6 to 8 weeks to 6 to 8 months. Through attachment, 6 to 8 months to 18 months. Reciprocal relationships, 18 months on. During pre-attachment, infants rapidly learn to recognize their mothers by smell and sound. During attachment in the making, babies begin to behave differently in the presence of familiar caregivers and unfamiliar adults. During true attachment, infants have singled out the attachment figure, which is mostly the mother. During reciprocal relationships, infants growing cognitive and language skills and together with their accumulated experiences with their mothers or the primary caregivers will make them better and make them able to act as partners. Forms of attachment. There are actually four forms of attachment, namely secure attachment, avoidant attachment, resistant attachment, and disorganized or disoriented attachment. Three of those are considered insecure, and only one is considered secure. So for us to know the difference, let us define what is secure and insecure attachment. Secure attachment is a relationship in which infants have come to trust and depend on their mothers or primary caregivers, while insecure attachment is a relationship that contains mistrust together with anxiousness, or infants being avoidant towards their mothers or their primary caregivers. In short, a dysfunctional relationship. A study called Strange Situation by Mary Ainsworth was conducted to test infants' attachment relationship, which the sequence of events will be shown orderly on Table 5.2. Consequences of attachment. I have divided the consequences of attachment into two: advantage and disadvantage. Advantage. Infants who experience trust and compassion of secure attachment would develop into a preschool children who interacts confidently and successfully with their peers. Disadvantage. Infants who do not experience a successful, satisfying first relationship would be more prone to problems in their social interactions as preschoolers. What determines quality of attachment? Internal working model is what determines attachment. Internal working model is the infant's comprehension of how responsive and reliable the mother is. It is the idea to influence close relationships throughout the duration of child's life. Another way to determine quality of attachment are the following: attachment, work, and alternative caregiving. Women, especially in the workforce and single parents, would be worrying about their work, the attachment with their infants, and how would they be arranging the best childcare program for their kids. Hence, I've come up with these 3 key points to solve the attachment, work, and alternative caregiving worries. Chapter 5, Section 2, Emerging Emotions. The function of emotions. First, let us define what are emotions. Emotions are used to help people adapt to their environment, such as fear, happiness, disgust, sadness, and many other more. Those are considered emotions. Experiencing and expressing emotions. As infants would come to learn and use basic emotions. So what are basic emotions? Basic emotions are experienced by people worldwide, and each consists 3 elements: a subjective feeling, a physiological change, and an overt behavior. All in all, these are under the 3 basic emotions that infants would come to learn or use. Development of basic emotions. Happiness. This is where infants smile while asleep or when touched softly. Social smiles. This is where infants smile when they see another human face. Anger. First negative emotion to emerge. Infants will become angry if favorite food or toy is taken away. Stranger wariness. Infants become wary in the presence of an unfamiliar adult. Fear. Infants become fearful of unfamiliar places. Emergence of complex emotions. Complex emotions refers to the emotions such as pride, guilt, and embarrassment, which would usually surface until 18 to 24 months, depending on the child's self-consciousness. The table down below shows how infants express their own emotions. Later developments. I have come to sum up the later developments into 3 major key points. Cultural differences in emotional expression. Cultures differ in the extent to which emotional expression is encouraged, just like the emotional expression difference between American and Europeans and Asians. Recognizing and using others' emotions. In recognizing, social referencing is done. It is when infants in an unfamiliar or ambiguous environment often look at a parent as if searching for cues to help them interpret the situation. Regulating emotions. Emotion regulation is the ability to control your own emotions. May be done consciously or unconsciously. The following are the 3 major key points of emotion regulation.
Chapter 5.3, Interacting with Others. Infants' initial interactions are with parents, but soon they begin to interact with other people, notably with their peers. In this section, we'll trace the development of these interactions. So, the joys of play. The first one is the parallel play. So the parallel play is when the children play alone but are aware of and interested in what another children is doing. So look at this picture. So The two little girls painting shows a parallel play. Why? Because although they engaging in the same activity, they are not paying attention to each other. Second one is the simple social play. So it begins at about 15 to 18 months. Toddlers no longer simply watch one another at play. Instead, they engage in similar activities and talk or smile at one another. So, look at this picture, the two little babies. They are interacting with each other. So the third one is the cooperative play. So the cooperative play is organized around a theme with each child taking on a different role begins at about 2 years old. So look at the picture. They play hide and seek and alternate the roles of hider and seeker. It illustrates the cooperative play. So during the preschool years, cooperative play often takes the form of make believe. Preschoolers have telephone conversation with imaginary partners. So have you ever experienced that you have an imaginary friend? Personally, during my preschool years, I have one, and I always talk to her while looking at the mirror. The another play is the solitary play. Throughout the preschool years, many children prefer to play alone. Should parents be worried? Not necessarily. Some children are simply not particularly sociable. They enjoy solitary activities such as coloring, solving puzzles, or assembling Legos. I can give you an example. I have my brother who is 10 years younger than me and he loves to assemble Legos instead playing with other children. So here are some of his works. So gender differences in play. Between 2 and 3 years of age, children begin to prefer playing with same-sex peers. So look at the picture. Little boys play together with cars and little girls play together with dolls. So why do boys and girls attracted to same-sex play partners? So the first reason is self-selection by sex. Boys and girls want to play with others like themselves. The second one is boys and girls differ in their styles of play. And the third one is when girls and boys play together, girls do not readily influence boys. Girls' interaction with one another are typically enabling. Their actions and remarks tend to support others and sustain the interaction. Boys' interactions are often constricting. One partner tries to emerge as the victor by threatening or contradicting the other by exaggerating, and so on. Parents become involved in their preschool children's play in several ways, such as being a playmate, social director, coach, mediator. Helping others is a pro-social behavior. Is any behavior that benefits another person. Altruism is a behavior that is driven by feelings of responsibility toward other people, such as helping and sharing, in which individuals do not benefit directly from their actions. For example, these two 18 months of age toddlers try to comfort each other who are hurt or upset. Can you give me an example in which you can apply altruism into your friends? Write down your answer. So the skills underlying altruistic behavior. So empathy. So the empathy is the act of experiencing another person's feelings. So look at the picture. When a children can empathize with others who are sad or upset, they're more likely to offer to help. Situational influences. Kind children occasionally disappoint us by being cruel, and children who are usually stingy sometimes surprise us by their generosity. Why? The setting helps determine whether children act altruistically. The feelings of responsibility, feelings of competence, mood, and cause of altruism. Socialization of altruism. But how do parents foster altruism in their children? Several factors contribute, such as modeling, disciplinary practices, opportunities to behave pro-socially. So here are the factors contributing to children's pro-social behavior. So welcome to chapter 5.4, Gender Rules and Gender Identity. Social role, set of cultural guidelines about how one should behave, especially with other people. Gender stereotypes, beliefs and images about males and females that are not necessarily true. Example of gender stereotypes is according to Rubble, Martin, and Berryboom 2006 that many men and women believe that males are rational, active, independent, competitive, and aggressive, while women claim that females are emotional, passive, dependent, sensitive, and gentle. The extent of gender differences in the intellectual and psychosocial arenas remains uncertain. Research suggests differences between males and females in the following areas, such as verbal ability, mathematics, spatial ability, memory, social influence, aggression, emotional sensitivity and expression, effortful control. So how well do they correspond to actual differences between boys and girls? Studies of gender differences reveal that girls have greater verbal skill and memory, but the boys have greater spatial skill. Differences in math are negligible when females have access to education and occupation where math is valuable. Girls are better able to interpret emotions, are more prone to social influence, and have better effortful control. Gender typing is a process by which a child becomes aware of their gender and thus behaves accordingly by adopting values and attributes of members of the sex that they identify as their own. So look at the picture. Fathers are more likely than mothers to encourage their children's gender-related play. If you were to listen to a typical conversation between two preschoolers, you might hear something like this. Anna, when I grow up, I'm going to be a dancer. Elsa, when I grow up, I'm going to be a papa. Anna, you can't be a papa. You'll be a mama. Elsa, no, I wanna be a papa. Anna, you can't be a papa. Only boys can be papas and you're a girl. So obviously, Anna's understanding of gender is more developed than Elsa. So in gender schema theory, children first decide if an object, activity, or a behavior is associated with females or males. Then they use this information to decide whether they should learn more about the object, activity, or behavior. Biological influences, socialization of people, and the child's own efforts to understand gender typical behavior all contribute to gender roles and differences. Recognizing the interactive nature of these influences on gender learning also enables us to better understand how gender roles are changing today, which we considered next. Evolving gender roles. For most of our species, Homo sapiens existed in small groups of families. Women have given birth to the children and cared for them. Men's responsibilities have included protecting the family unit from predators and hunting with other males, roles for which strength and aggressiveness are crucial. So circumstances of the life in the 21st century are of course substantially different. So often both men and women are employed outside the home and both men and women care for children. So here are the references.